warm up his tyres for that first opening qualifying run.
I do apologise, Craig. We are live now. We do apologise. Trying everything ready. So we do apologise because if you are watching the stream, good evening to you all. We are just joining for Group 2, Race 1 at the circuit Jules Villeneuve for the Invictus Cup, which is sponsored by Nailcoat Hall and also gridfinder.com as well. So it'll be interesting to see how these guys can produce the goods in the driving itself. But we're just watching Ryan now doing his outlap, but he's just invalidated his lap at the moment, Craig. So what do you think these guys will need to try and do to produce at the circuit Jules Villeneuve at the Canadian Grand Prix?
With it being a relatively short lap, you're going to have to nail every braking zone, hit every apex, and most importantly, do not invalidate any laps, because you're just burning through tyres, as we saw from Ryan on his opening qualifying run there. But we should get the opening times coming in soon. That looks as if that's Renault looking to just start his lap. I believe that Ivan Belov. But Darrell Whiffen opens up the qualifying times with a 10.2, a little bit off the times that we saw the other night there. We saw times as low as 1 minute 8, but Ginga Tiger a 109.7 driving for Alpha Tauri this evening, usually driving the Racing Point in the Formula 3 Drivers' Championship last season.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how these guys can produce the goods at this track as well. But watching Darrell now in fourth with a 1 minute 10.266, and Rimpa, who's been outstanding last season in the F2 League. He has got himself, well actually he's a champion, to be fair, Craig. He's an absolute drivers world champion because he's done a 108.8, Craig.
Yeah, very quick driver, secured the Formula 2 Drivers' Championship in his very first season at Invictus Racing League, so that's certainly another driver on a high, as he's laid down the gauntlet at his competitors so far. But Ryan back on track on his outlap in the Alfa Romeo. He'll be looking to make up for that mistake in the previous qualifying run. So it'll be interesting to see if that previous invalidations maybe affected how he'll approach the next lap. Whether he'll be a little bit cautious, just trying to get a time on the board, and maybe just going all out on that final run nearing the end of the qualifying session.
Hopefully so, hopefully so. But as we saw on Monday night, I know we had saw the top three battling out battling out, to be fair, with XL JCol do battle with Marcus as well. So do you think we're going to have a similar battle at the front, or do you think there'll be a few shocks from some of the drivers tonight?
Well, we've got a few drivers now from similar tiers, so hopefully we don't just see a battle at the front of the grid, but throughout the pack as well. And it'll be interesting to see how close Ryan can get to Rimpa on that 108.8. But Speed Queen also on an outlap, as is, and we've yet to see Stefan Rans take to the circuit as well. So we may see a few drivers getting close to Rimpa's time, as well as other drivers throughout the pack as well, competing against each other for those all vital points throughout the finishing positions at the end of lap 35.
Hopefully so, hopefully so. So it's just going to be, with that battle, hopefully we're going to get a lot more in the Group 2 stage. This is race 1 at the circuit Jules Villeneuve, and I can't wait for this because there's a couple of drivers that, as you said earlier on, that we are looking forward to, which is Ryan. You got Rimpa as well. Ginger Tiger, out of nowhere, he has produced some good form. But then also you got Matty, who's also outstanding on his day. So it could be interesting to see, Craig, where depending on the strategy that we saw from Group 1, we had a bit of rain as well. So have we heard anything from the weather crew at all?
No, we've yet to have a weather report, so I think, like our viewers, we're in a little bit of the dark as Ryan de Pivine gets a little bit closer to Rimpa. He's only 700ths of a second off provisional pole position, with Ginga Tiger slightly behind, 3/10 down with 109.1, with Ivan Belov slightly behind with a 109.2, with a little bit of a gap between himself and DXT Matty, and it looks as if Ryan holding up the Williams a little bit there as he just came round turn 10. It looks as if it was Speed Queen, so hopefully it won't have hurt Speed Queen's times too much. She looks to set an opening lap time as well, just approaching the final chicane.
Let's see how she does, passing the wall of champions and coming up to the start of finishing line straight. Now she has done a 108.918, a 108.918. That's a good time from Speed Queen, Craig.
Yeah, a good opening lap there, very clean through the final chicane, not pushing it too far at this stage in qualifying, risking damaging her front tyre, losing the front tyre, resulting in terminal damage. So Speed Queen just setting a decent opening lap, and she'll be looking to go again with 9 minutes left in the session.
Absolutely, absolutely, but hopefully she'll try and get a bit quick. I mean, she was only like a 10th off, actually just under a 10th, to be fair, and that's really impressive from Speed Queen. I'm just watching Spud now. Spud, who was a former champion in the Performance League, as well as the battle that he had with the F3 as well. So it'll be interesting to see how he can try and do, because he was struggling the season before, but last season he got himself a bit of a rhythm going, and hopefully that will kickstart this Invictus Cup as well. So
Yeah, and crucially, Stefan Rines has now come out onto circuit with approximately 8 minutes left. It looks as if he's on his qualifying lap at the moment of 41.3 at the end of sector 2. Just turns the car at turn 10, looking to get on the power as early as he can, straightening up the car, picking up the DRS, moving over to the left hand side of the track, just watching not to scrub too much pace. He's on that final run down to the final chicane, watching not to invalidate a lap or going too wide, clipping the wall of champions, staying over the right hand side of the track, cutting down the distance to the line, and it's a 109.5, which puts him in 9th position at the moment.
Absolutely, and he's done a good lap, to be fair, Stefan, but interesting to see if he can try and improve. I mean, to be fair though, Craig, looking at the times there, from 108.8 to like 9th, which is like 7/10. Yeah, 7/10. That is mad, considering the pace that we have got tonight for Group 2.
Yeah, it's shaping up very nicely, and looking at how close those times are, it's looking very tasty as well, Malc, with 1/10 separating the top 3, 2/10 separating the top 5, as Ginga Tiger moves into the 109.0s alongside Mr. Steen as well. So teammates looking to be just ahead and behind of each other there, but on different rows of the grid. But Rimpa doesn't feel too comfortable as he comes back on his outlap back onto track.
Absolutely, and interesting for him, to be fair. Just watching Ginger Tiger going slowly on the right hand side down the straight as well. I think that might be Ryan. Yes, it is. It's Ryan, who's just come up to the chicane, come up to the wall of champions, just getting a clip on the wall itself. There was a bit of debris at the start, finishing on straight, and he has got pole. 108.441, Craig.
Yeah, track evolution and just nailing that lap, goes 4/10 quicker than Rimpa, so lightning pace there from Ryan. But what was interesting was at the end of the lap he started to move over to the left hand side of the circuit, so maybe a little bit more pace. He's got Mr. Steen behind him. Looks as if Mr. Steen's on an out lap, so possibly Mr. Steen might try and get a tow if Ryan decides to go again.
Absolutely. He might be damage limitations for the soft tyres as well coming up to during that race. as well coming up soon, which is we've got 35 laps at the circuit Jules Villeneuve at Canada, and it's just I quite love this track, Craig. Do you, as I said Monday, you mentioned about it, but in your depth, what do you think of it as a whole, watching it?
Yeah, it's got. There is a few corners with some nice flows through it, some nice sweeping corners as well. But for me, it's just a great old school circuit where it really punishes any mistake. Just right on board with Rimpa there, he's actually down on his sector 1 time. He's just off 1/10, so can he make it up through sector 2 and 3? A little bit of traffic, it's a spud ahead in that back straight. Rimpa just tries to pick up a little bit of a toe, just trying to gain any time that he can, just coming through the final chicane, keeps it over to the right hand side, trying to hug the white line on the right side. Can he improve? And it does so. It goes into the 108.4 throw. He's certainly made up time in sector 2 and 3, being down 1/10 at sector 1. So great lap there from Rimpa with 4 minutes left in qualifying. The question is, can he get round back into the garages, put a new fresh set of softs on and go again?
Hopefully so, but it's just with 4 minutes left, he will have enough time to do one more lap, so that will be crucial to try and hold on to that first place. Just watching Mr. Steen now, and as you can see, Craig, unless I'm mistaken, the clouds are getting darker. So.
Yeah, it's getting a little bit overcast, so it'll be interesting to see if that's going to have too much of an impact on track conditions, lowering track temperature, which will certainly affect grip of these tyres as well. So it's going to be crucially important to keep these tyres within the window, getting them at optimum range to set qualifying laps. Hopefully trying to challenge Rimpa or Ryan de Pivine for the front row of the starting grid.
Hopefully so, but just interesting to see. But to be fair, have you seen much on Louis, who's on the Williams car at the minute in 6th place?
Oh, sorry to interrupt you there, Malc, but there are a few droplets of water just coming down onto track. We've got just over 2 minutes left in the session, so will we get enough rain to change the track conditions? That is the key. So can these drivers who are on a lap at the moment keep those soft tyres within the operating window, or are they going to cool right off and just lose all grip?
I'll be very interested to see if the rain does kick in massively in the next 2 minutes, but it's going to be tough, especially if the track is going to get even a little bit worse for wear. But then again, these drivers will know what they're doing, and we might see some unbelievable moments. We never know. But Stefan, as we was watching, mentioning about the weather itself, Stefan got himself up to 3rd place with a 108.807. So that's a good time from Stefan. But as was mentioning about Louis, have you watched Louis in the past?
I was actually unable to watch him too much because I was actually competing against him. It was up on sector 1 there, but big mistake in sector 2, which dropped off his time and he abandoned that lap, so maybe losing a bit of grip due to the wet conditions.
Possibly. I'm just watching Ivan now in 8th place. Towley.
Yeah, he's backed off, Malc. He's backed off, so not feeling that the grip's there for Ivan Belov, and definitely lifted off there. So here, I don't think any drivers are going to actually improve as the rain's starting to get a little bit heavy here. DX Team Matty just coming up to the final corner. Yeah, he's definitely not able to attack that as much as he would like. Loses the traction under the wet circuit and damages the front wing. So yeah, so the rain is actually coming down heavier, affecting track conditions quicker than what these drivers would have hoped for.
Absolutely, and this is what I was saying. To you. I did not expect the rain to be that quick within the 2 minutes. That's all I did not expect that quick, but it has caused majority of the drivers to go back into the pits, and I think this is what you see, Craig, is what we're going to get for the starting grid of the
Yeah, while we've been talking, Malc, Stefan Ranz moves up to third position with a 108.8. That drops Speed Queen down to fourth. So Stefan Ranz will be starting on the clean side of the track, just behind Rimpa and Ryan de Pivine.
As I said, he did an absolute stellar job during his qualifying lap, so it'll be interesting to see if he can try and get a good start against Ryan and Rimpa, who both drivers ahead of him have had some great starts in the F2 League last season, so it'll be interesting to see what these guys can try and push on. But the qualifying has stopped, guys. The qualifying has now stopped, and I believe this is what we're going to get, guys. This is what we're going to get. Everyone will be in the pits and we'll be retiring, and we'll be talking about the qualifying start of it. But have you heard any more from the weather crew for the race, or not yet?
Nothing yet, Malc, but so Spud out on track on soft tyres. He's maybe just getting a little feel for the wet conditions, so I'm wondering if this is an indication of the weather that we're actually going to get during the race.
Hopefully so, fingers crossed. We'll just have to wait and see how it goes. But here are your short qualifying classification for the Circuit Jules Villeneuve for the Invictus Cup. So here we go. We've got Rimpa is in first. We've got Ryan is in second. Stefan is in third. Speed Queen fourth. Mr. Steen fifth. You got Ginger Tiger in sixth. Louis in seventh. Ivan is in eighth. Matty is in ninth. Joe Hamster is in 10th. You've got Darryl in 11th. You've got Towley in 12th. You got Prepsy Boy and Spud are the only drivers who have had no qualifying times at all, Craig.
Yeah, that's probably a strategic decision, Mark, looking to avoid any contact going into turns 1 and 2. So maybe just playing a longer game, wanting to try and keep the front wing intact, and maybe going for a change of strategy as well.
Absolutely.
Oh well, it's going to be a wet race. It is absolutely teeming it down here at the Circuit Jules Villeneuve.
Absolutely. So Monday we had an intermediate to dry race. Now we've got a start of a full wet race. I bet you're glad you're not racing tonight in these conditions.
Definitely. Now looking at those conditions, a lot of standing water there. That's going to make the start of the race incredibly tricky for these drivers, with a lot of spray kicking up from the car ahead, and being a street circuit, grass very close. It's so easy to just light up your tyres or just catch the grass verge and just put the car into a spin, and then as a result going into the wall and ending your evening very quickly. So the drivers will be looking to be extremely cautious. And what may also be interesting, Malc, is who's opted for a dry setup compared to those on a wet setup. So grip, downforce, it's just going to be such a major factor in the 35 laps that we have ahead of us this evening.
Absolutely. I mean, we have seen a few times during that in Invictus Racing League where drivers have gambled to go on the dry tyres, the dry setup, and then do well by just changing a few, like the wing and the ride, the ride height as well. So it's just bits need to try and master during the full wets itself. But I've seen a few times where people have had the full wets and have done really well during these conditions. So it'd be interesting to see how these guys can push on, but it'd be interesting to find out what's going to happen, as we are going to be doing the formation lap. So we should be loading up and ready to go.
We just got the weather report in there, Mark, that it will be dry at the end of the race, so it'll be a lot of these drivers may be hoping to take these wet tyres till the point of transitioning into the dry setup, so they may be really nursing these wet tyres, or we may also see drivers that just want to go full guns blazing, possibly pit later on and just trying to open up a gap to the pack behind. So strategy may be absolutely key here over these 35 laps.
Absolutely, and it might be beneficial to try and keep it consistent because the wets can last just over halfway, so about 17 to 18 laps fresh as well. So it'd be interesting to see how these goes. Oh, actually, I do apologise. Sorry, my fault. It is about 20 to 22 laps, which is the wet, which is the same conditions as the hard tyres if you're just doing it as well. So as you can see, the predicted pit stop, it is one stop, but then we've been told that there'll be a dry end of the race. So this is kind of like deja vu, but with a little bit of a twist tonight, Craig. Do you agree?
Yeah, a little bit tougher conditions with the full wets and drivers that are Ryan losing a little bit of traction there on the exit of turn 10, and spins that Alfa Romeo around, just waiting for the pack to come through, and he'll be losing tyre temperature and brake temperature while he's actually sitting there stationary on the grid while he waits for the rest of the pack to form up. But I was just going to mention there, Malc, that the drivers that may be hoping to take the full wet tyre until we can cross over to the dries, they'll be hoping for a quick transition into dry conditions, because if it gets a bit temporary, a little bit in between, they'll be absolutely burning through these wet tyres, and it may have forced their hand onto the intermediates. So it's going to come down to tyre management, race management, but also who can keep their cars free of damage as we wait for the start of this Grand Prix.
Absolutely, and I will mention about that just in a moment of time. We are going to be starting with the countdown of the Group 2 Race 1 at the Circuit Jules Villeneuve for the Invictus Cup. And we are now live. Yeah, here we go. Rimpa is off to a great start. It looks like Ryan has dropped down to third. Stefan has hold on to move to second place. And we've got a side-by-side battle. And there's a contact at the back. There's been contact at the back. It looks like Ivan had to drop down and he's spun. He has spun, Craig. Did you see that?
No, I'm actually having issues with my controller at the moment, just keeping up with what's going on circuit. For some reason it's actually froze my controls, but I'm hoping to rejoin you as soon as I can.
No worries, no worries. Speed Creed has just made a move into third place against Ryan. That is an absolutely brilliant move. Ryan has to bounce back after that DSQ during the qualifying. Obviously his tyre wear is going to be a little bit colder than all the others, but hopefully he'll try and pounce onto Speed Queen to get back into the top three. But what a start for Rimpa and Stefan, who are now trying to pull away from the rest of the pack. It looks like Joe and Louis are having a good battle for 7th and 8th, battling out side by side, too wide. And Joe has made a great move ahead. So brilliant stuff. So hopefully we'll try and see if Joe can try and hold on as much as possible. So.
Yeah, that was a great move from Joe round the outside of turn 10 there. Just found it better grip round the outside. Sometimes actually the better line is off the racing line when the conditions are this poor. And Louis looks as if he's got a little bit of damage there as he comes into the pit lane.
Absolutely. So it will be trying to get that sorted as quickly as possible. But Ivan has got a penalty, so he'll need to try and serve that when he gets back into the pits, or be at the end of the race as well. So
if it's possible, Malc, can you quickly send me an invite please, as might have expired being the session host.
No worries. We'll be right back, guys. Don't go anywhere. We will try and invite Craig back into, see if you can be able to get back in, Craig. We do apologise for any technical difficulties, guys. Craig will be back into the session, but while we're waiting for Craig to get back in, we've got Matty getting close to Mr. Steen in 5th place. But I tell you what, I've been really impressed with Matty. I don't know about you, Craig, but I've been really impressed with his driving, especially in the F3 in the last few races of the season. He has stepped up massively, especially in the Performance League as well.
Yeah, he certainly had a run of form, and with form comes confidence, and he's just built on that race after race after race, and we're certainly seeing that again this evening. So definitely ending the F1 2020 seasons in some spectacular form.
Absolutely, absolutely. But don't forget, Craig, when we was in Spain, Matty was impressive in the wets. So I will not be surprised if Matty gets into the top 3 tonight. I'll be very surprised if he doesn't, but I will not be surprised if he does get into the top 3 because he's been like the wet master as well, Craig.
Yeah, and Rimper just opening up a little bit of a gap between himself, Stefan Rand second, and Speed Queen in third, while Ryan de Pivine just slightly behind as well. So it looks as if Rimper's really trying to push the time between himself and the Renault driver Stefan Rands.
Absolutely, so it'll be interesting to see what they can try and do. Speed Queen was getting close to Stefan by a second, but now the gap's getting a little bit bigger. But still watching this battle is Matty and Mr. Steve for 5th place. And then the other battle we've got is Daryl and Sir Spud for 9th and 10th respectively. Ryan's gone to the pits. So I don't know if he's had any damage that early. I would assume he's had damage early into the pits. Right?
Yeah, he's lost the front end plate on the right hand side of his wing, so that's actually pushed him for a pit stop. And interestingly enough, Malc, he's going for the intermediate tyres, so possibly looking to gamble due to that forced pit stop. But there's still a fair amount of standing water on the circuit, so the question is, will this work out for him, or will it backfire?
I think at the moment, this is going to backfire him, because at the moment, the rain, it doesn't look like the rain's going to go at any point. Oh my god, sorry about that, Craig. There was a battle between Sir Spud, and Sir Spud went onto the grass, and he nearly lost the back end, and it could have been catastrophic. It could have lost his front wing, to be fair, but luckily he's still intact for 8th place battle. But as you were saying, I think this might be Ryan who will be backfire on him, because the rain, it's still heavy to me, but I can't see it die down just yet, Craig.
Oh, DXT Matty up the inside at turn 10. Mr. Steen all out of shape, trying to put the power down at the rear of the Alpha Tauri, and that just allowed DXT Matty to get it done on the back straight, and that moves DXT Matty up to 4th, 8.5 seconds behind Speed Queen ahead.
Absolutely, but be interesting to see if Matty can try and get close to Speed Queen, who the top 3 have completely driven off with by a 9-second gap. But lots sorry, Craig.
I just want to come back to Mr. Steen as well, Malc. After losing a little bit of traction with the rear of the car, complaining, opting to putting on a set of intermediates as well as towel 92. So it could be that the racing line is dry enough that the drivers can use the intermediate tyres, but they're going to have to be careful that they do not dip a tyre off the racing line into the standing water and causing that car to spin.
Absolutely, you are right, Craig. Actually, you are right. We can see a little bit of the racing line, so this will be absolutely crucial for these guys to make themselves step up. But then, as you can see from Ryan's time now, he's going shot from 6 seconds to 4. So he has proved me wrong massively to say that this was going to be backfired. But now he's got a chance to push on.
And the top 3 drivers, Malc, all in the pit. Stefan Rand, Speed Queen and Rimp all in the pit, so it's clear that the track is actually transitioning onto the intermediates rather than full wets, so this track is starting to dry out a little bit.
Absolutely, and Ryan is just coming to the start finishing line now, which we'll see if some of the drivers can. So Rimper is still holding on in first. Ryan has got the fastest up the race with 122.396, and he's just behind Dow and Sir Spud, who are both the only drivers who are still on the wet tyre conditions. And Sir Spud has got a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Craig.
Yeah, being on the wet tyres now with the conditions this way, it's only just going to put so much disadvantage on Sir Spud and Darrell Whiffen, who are going to come under a lot of pressure from Ryan de Pavine, who now does pass Darrell Whiffen on the exit of turn 7. But it looks as if it's a little bit of a drag race. Ryan de Pavine has the inside line and will take the corner at turns 8 and 9. So Darrell Whiffen a little bit out of shape, still on those wet tyres.
Absolutely, and it's an immense stuff from Ryan to push on now to get.
DXT Mike goes up the inside as Darrell Whiffen runs wide, really struggling on those full wet tyres. So advantage to all the intermediate drivers, and I'll expect that we'll see Sir Spud and Darrell Whiffen come into the pits. And Sir Spud does come into the pit lane now. That promotes Ryan de Pavine up to 4th, and DXT Matty should move up to 5th as well.
Absolutely, and to be fair, as I said earlier on, Craig, I think that was a good move from Ryan to get onto the intermediates. But again, I wasn't sure whether the rain was going to slowly die down. Was you? And
it was interesting how a bit of misfortune has absolutely pulled a masterstroke for Ryan de Pavine, who's now 6.3 seconds behind the final podium position of Speed Queen, and 3rd, who's 1.6 seconds behind Stefan Rans. So Ryan de Pavine certainly back in this race.
Absolutely. So he's got a good chance. It depends on when the dries are going to kick in, and I will not be surprised if we're going to hit the halfway marker for the dries to kick in as well. So we're on lap 735 at the Circuit Jules Villeneuve for the Invictus Cup, and I tell you what, Craig, which drivers have you been impressed so far in this early stage?
I certainly can't take my eyes off Rimpa, opening up a 2.8 second gap to Stefan Rans, and also leading Speed Queen as well. So Rimpa's certainly impressive, getting the job done, securing pole and opening up now a 3-second gap to the cars behind. So Rimpa off on a charge so far.
Absolutely brilliant stuff there from Rimpa as well. But while he was watching that, or explaining about Rimpa being one driver to watch at the early stages, it looks like Ryan and Matty has had a great battle just before the chicane at the World Champions, and they're doing an absolutely stellar job, because this is the closest battle we have got so far in this race. It's absolutely brilliant stuff, absolutely brilliant racing from everyone for the Invictus Cup. Brilliant stuff. Yeah,
DXT Matty just managing the revs on the exit of the chicane down at the end of this first sector, so he'll get better traction off the line, and it looks as if he closed the gap a little bit there as Ryan de Pavine was really struggling for rear traction. But DXT Matty just tucking in behind the Alfa Romeo. He'll line him up coming out of 10, hoping to get a little bit of a tow and getting the move done on the run down to the end of the lap.
Hopefully we'll get a good chance now to push on massively. Now Matty getting close now. This is going to be close. Oh my god, Ryan's trying to keep on the defending side, going back onto the racing line to get a good exit into the chicane. But Matty, who could have had a chance to make the move, good defending there from Ryan, just at the nick of time.
Yeah, don't get much closer than that, so maybe a little bit of heart in their mouth there from DXT Matty.
Absolutely, absolutely. But Matty will not give up, Craig. He will not give up in this situation. So it's just been brilliant battle from these two drivers. Considering what happened with Ryan earlier on, it's just an immense strategic decision with misfortune, shall we say, at the same time. We got the battle for Ryan and Matty. Just then we're going to go back to Towley and Darrell for the 10th and 11th place respectively. We've got some technical issues from Prepsy Boy. Hopefully his communications on his car will be sorted as quickly as possible. But been a good race so far, Craig.
Yeah, very close at the front. Although Rimpet is opening up the gap, he is still at risk of an undercut. What if we transition to dry conditions that we know are coming at the end of the race? So all is not over yet for Stefan Ranz. But of course, with the conditions this way, Malc, a safety car is always possible, and that will just throw everything up in the air and almost reset the race for us.
Absolutely, and we always had at least one safety car during at the Circuit Jules Villeneuve at the Canadian Grand Prix, and I tell you what, I would not be surprised if we do get a safety car. But we did have the virtual one on Monday night, if I'm correct, Craig.
Yeah, we did, and that played right into the hands of JCol, who pitted under the VSC onto the soft tyres and just disappeared into the distance, taking the win of the race.
Absolutely, absolutely. But sorry to interrupt you there. It was just I saw Darrell hit the wall of champions. We've lost a bit of front wing on the right hand side, so now, unfortunately for him, he is still within Towler in 10th place. So brilliant stuff at the moment. But his wing is going to will have to be changed as quickly as possible. Otherwise, he's going to lose out so much time, Craig.
Yeah, and Joe Hamster trying to run down Mr. Steen. The gap currently at 1.1 seconds. Joe Hamster a little bit out of shape coming out of turn 9. Little lock up as the front of the car just complains a little bit under braking during these conditions. That allows Mr. Steen to open up the gap a little bit, so Joe Hamster just needs to nail those braking zones and getting the traction out of the corners to try and close down Mr. Steen, who was struggling a little bit for grip and traction earlier on in the race while we were on the full wet tyres. Absolutely,
and but to be fair, that's Joe. He's done a good race at the moment. I know he's just getting it steady on his racing itself. But let's just have a look at the biggest movers or the biggest losers. All yellow flags. Yellow flags on sector 1. I believe that might be Ginger Tiger. Dropped down a few positions. Or Towley as well.
Oh, he's just tagged the wall on the approach towards turn 3 there. So Ginger Tiger needs to be very careful there that he's not going to lose an end plate. It would be disastrous at this point in the race, particularly these conditions. You really need that front downforce at a street circuit like this. And there's yellow flags there at the back. It's Ivan Belov, and he's actually had a spin at the exit of 2. So Ivan Belov really struggling with these conditions at the moment.
Absolutely. So it's just a shame because you don't want to get a bad start in the Invictus Cup as well, so you just don't want to do that at all. You got Ryan, who's got a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. We've got this battle between Mr. Steen and Joe Hamster, and now here we go, coming up to the chicane for the passing the wall of champions. This is going to be close to try and get into turn 1. Joe's trying to have a quick glance to say, can I make the move? No, but Mr. Steen, who will not give up that position in 6. Joe Hamster moves up 3 positions from his starting grid, so he started in 10th, moves up to 3 places into 7th. So, but the biggest mover is the Spud with 6 positions, so from 14th to 8th at the moment. Brilliant stuff there from Spud.
Yeah, and Joe Hamster closed the gap down to Mr. Steen, while DX Team Mattis still can't find a way past Ryan de Pavine. But Ryan de Pavine did get a little bit of a tow from the car off Prebsy Boy on that run down towards the final chicane, able to defend. But it's a DNF from Ivan Belov, who calls it a day after that spin at turn 2. So Ivan Belov calling it a night very early.
Absolutely, and really unlucky times for Ivan, but hopefully he will bounce back in race 2 and 3 in the next few weeks' time as well. But this is the Invictus Cup, which is sponsored by Nailcoat Hall and also gridfinder.com. Please check them out, guys. They do absolutely amazing stuff as well. So we're on lap 13 and 35 at the Circuit Jules Villeneuve. And I tell you what, Craig, there's so much action-packed from different aspects of the top half and then at the bottom half. I mean, you just can't keep just can't pick which one is going to be the one to see all the battles, to be fair.
Yeah, I've got an interesting battle for 4th between Ryan de Pavine and DX Team Matty, and for 6th between Mr. Steen and Joe Hamster. But just looking at the battle between Mr. Steen and Joe Hamster, they have to both be careful that they're not actually costing each other time against the biggest gainer during this race. Spud, although he's 9.2 seconds off Joe Hamster, if these guys start battling and costing each other time, that gap won't be long in closing down.
Absolutely. They've got to be absolutely careful as well. So, interesting times in the next few laps, shall we say, Craig. It'll be interesting to see. But at the moment, on lap 14.35, we've got Rimpo's in first, Stefan is in second, Speed Queen in third, Ryan's in fourth, Matty is in fifth, Mr. Steen is in sixth, Joe is in seventh, Spud is in eighth, Ginger Tiger is in 9th, Natalia is in 10th, you got Darryl is in 11th, Louis is in 12th, and Prepsy Boy is in 13th place, with Ivan the only one to have the DNF tonight. Craig.
Yeah, Rimpa's absolutely controlled this race from start to finish. The gap now up to 6.5 seconds, so he's escaped the risk of the undercut. So Rimpa doing an absolute stellar job at the moment, leading this race, while Stefan Rands has opened up the gap between himself and Speed Queen behind to 4.8 seconds, with Ryan de Pavine falling off a little bit while he's trying to hold off DX Team Matty for 4th and 5th.
Absolutely, and it's still a job from the guys at the top end. Correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's the top 4 from F2, and then Matty from F3, Mr. Steen from F2. So Matty, who's having a good battle and beating one of the drivers that were in the F2 League last season against Mr. Steen. But at the moment, Joe Hamster has got a chance to beat Mr. Steen, who's in F2. So unbelievable stuff, Craig.
Yeah, he's just overdriving the car a little bit there, Joe Hamster. He's just trying to brake as late as he can to close the gap between himself and Mr. Steen, and that is resulting in the front of the car locking up, and that is going to cost him time as well as tyre wear. But he has managed to get on the gearbox of Mr. Steen, but he just cannot find a way past at the moment.
Absolutely, but it's just going to be tough times as well. But let's have a look at the penalties quickly before we forget. So Ryan, who's got 9 seconds worth of penalties, Joe and Sir Spud and also Louis have got 6 seconds, Darryl has got 9 seconds, Tali has got 12 seconds worth of penalties. So it's going to cost them at the end of this race, whatever happens. So Ivan has left the garage, and hopefully he'll be back next week for race 2 at Austria next week. So it'll be interesting to see how these guys can push on. But while we still watching this battle between Mr. Steen and Joe Hamster, if you're joining the stream, guys, and you're not sure how the Invictus Cup works, Craig, how does it feel, or how does it work out, the format of the Invictus Cup?
Yeah, just to recap the format of the Invictus Cup, we've got 10 teams competing, and each team consists of 4 drivers. Each driver comes from each tier of the PlayStation leagues, so you will have 1 driver per tier, per team, and it's about accumulating as much points as you can as a driver for that team to progress into the knockout phase, and then hopefully into the final, securing the Invictus Cup in June.
Absolutely, and we had a great opening on Monday night at the Circuit Jules Villeneuve track, but also this is now starting to build up another classic as well. To be fair, we've got Mr. Steen and Joe for a 6th place battle, but the drivers that we have seen, as I say, we've been really impressive wherever happens during the season last season. But is there any driver that you have seen now that should have stepped up a gear tonight?
Just looking at Joe Hamster, he's actually putting a little bit of pressure on a driver that's in the higher tiers than himself. So Joe Hamster, who did find a lot of pace at the end of last season, he's certainly a driver that has developed over the course of season 12, and it looks as if he's ready for a step up into the next tier for the season ahead, and he's right on the gearbox of Mr. Steen at the moment, again just trying to hassle Mr. Steen, and it's actually costing Joe time himself. It just really needs to pick his moment, nail his braking zone and get a great traction. Probably his best bet is on the exit of 10, maybe just taking that wider entry round the outside and trying to nail the traction and having a little bit of a slipstream down towards the end of the lap, the final chicane, and just trying to get the move done there.
Absolutely, but interesting to see how these guys can pull off the battle. I mean, Joe Hamster, as I said earlier on, he's been absolutely immense and putting a lot of pressure, to be fair, so it'd be a good test of him to step up a gear and challenge some of the faster crew in the higher grids as well.
And also Malc, it looks as if it's now stopped raining, so it's just a matter of time when this circuit starts to dry out, which will allow us to go on to the dry tyre compound. The first driver to do so is Speed Queen. Speed Queen coming into the pits and putting on a fresh set of soft tyres, and she should exit the pit ahead of the battle between Mr. Steen and Joe Hamster, which is absolutely crucial if she's looking to close down Ryan de Pavine, Stefan Rans and Rimpa. So can she use this early pit stop to her advantage, or is it a little bit too early?
I think it would be interesting to see, watching the time now, is it a good call or is it a bad call? But I think at the moment, considering she's just coming out of the pits, I think it might be just a tad too early. But then again, I predicted wrong for Ryan's intermediate call from when he had that mistake earlier on, so I could be wrong, Craig.
Yeah, look, it looks as if it's maybe 1 or 2 laps too early. Malc really struggling to find the grip on the circuit, but what will do a world of good is that when this track actually dries out and the driver's ahead pit, can she actually make up that time of being on this circuit while drivers are opting to pit? But I want to come back to this battle between Ryan de Pavine and DXT Matty for 3rd and 4th. DXT Matty still unable to find a way past Ryan, so Ryan defending very well to hold on to the final podium spot at the moment.
Absolutely.
And Mr. Steen gets the move done with against Speed Queen. So Speed Queen unable to get those tyres up to temperature. Mr. Steen still on the intermediates, gets the move done on the home straight, and she's going to come under pressure from Joe Hamster, who's also on the intermediates, goes up the inside at turn 2 as well. So Speed Queen unable to switch his soft tyres on just yet.
Absolutely, and they'll know that this is not ready yet, because you can see some parts of the track is still with the spray of the water as well on track. That tells me that it's just not ready at all to be on the dry compounds tonight. So it will be getting dry, as we could see, but when do you think we will get the dry track properly, Craig?
I reckon the next 2 or 3 laps, once the water's actually been lifted from the circuit with these drivers going round. It's just a little bit too early, but I'm sure that Speed Queen will get back up to speed once the conditions warrant the soft tyres going into the window. So you can actually see the spray being kicked up by Mr. Steam as we ride on board with Joe Hamster. So still a little bit of water on the circuit, and that's really contributing to Speed Queen struggling for grip at the front of the car.
Absolutely, and we also got another battle going between Dow and Louis. They're going down the straight, coming to the close driver of the McLaren, which is Towley. And I tell you what, is Louis going to try and make the move? No, he had a quick glance just before the chicane itself, but now they're going to try and push on. Now, so Spud is going to the mediums, Craig. So
yeah, so he's the next driver to opt for a dry set of tyres. So Spud maybe looking to go to the end of the race. He should manage 15 laps on the medium tyre compound. So Sir Spud doing what he can to put himself in the discussion for some strong points later on in the race.
Absolutely, and we've finally got like a 3-car battle for 9th place. You know, to be fair. So at the moment, Matty's going himself into 3rd because Ryan is going to the pits. So this is where Speed Queen now needs to push with that soft tyres to push on. But the tyre wear on her side is not kicking in just yet. But it looks like Ryan is now going. Oh my God, we got too wide. We got too wide. Coming up to the hairpin corner, and Louis, what a move from Louis! Brilliant stuff there. Nearly got caught with Towley. A yellow flag set to 3.
Yeah, Darrell Whiffen just asked for a little bit of power from the rear of the Mercedes, and the Mercedes was not ready yet and spun, hitting the wall on the right hand side, and that moves Sir Spud up to 11th. But Mr. Steen opted to come into the pits while Joe Hamster stayed on. Mr. Steen goes deep off circuit, so I think that's down at turn 2. So Mr. Steen struggling to find the grip yet on those medium tyres.
Absolutely. So put under a lot of pressure to try and get some rhythm going with those the medium tyres itself. But would you have gambled to go on the tyres now if you was driving tonight, Craig?
Yeah, I think the track's ready now. Ryan de Pavine now on the mediums as well as DXT Matty. Looks to pit this lap. Stefan Rands and Rimper staying out. Rimper just coming up to the end of sector 1. He'll be looking to get round the circuit as quick as he can, not losing too much time to DXT Matty, who's now coming out the pits, and Ryan de Pavine as well. So this is a crucial moment of the race for Rimper and Stefan Rands. They won't want to lose too much time. The gap sitting at 34.4 seconds, but that is just tumbling down as DXT Matty comes back out onto track, and Ryan de Pavine as well. But it looks as if Ryan de Pavine looks to have lost out to DXT Matty. So DXT Matty moves up to 3rd, and that's a great job by the pit crew at McLaren.
Absolutely, still of a job. I told you, when Matty does well in the wets, he will get into the top 3. But can he try and hold on? That is the big question. He will need to try and hold on. But the gap between Stefan and Matty is still 34 seconds. So whatever happens, so Rimper is going to the pits.
Yeah, 2 leaders of the race, Rimper and Stefan Rands, now coming in to the pits for the change to the dry tyre. Rimper looking for 2 of the mediums, as is Stefan Rands as well. But where will they come back out on track? What will the gap be to DXT Matty behind, who was 34 seconds? It looks as if Stefan Rands gets back out on track again, so it's normal service resumed. Rimper out on the lead, Stefan Rands in 2nd, DXT Matty who gets the jump on the Alfa Romeo of Ryan de Pavine under pit conditions. But Joe Hamster keeping a hold of 5th ahead of Speed Queen, who's 3 seconds behind on the soft tyres.
Absolutely, and the softs itself is going to be interesting in the next few laps to try and close the gap onto Joe, who's already got out of the pits. Towley has got a 3-second time penalty for multiple. We've got yellow flags. That is Towley again, who's really slowing down. But yeah, he's trying to push on massively, and DRS is now enabled, Craig. So the officials are saying that the track is safe for the DRS to kick on.
Oh, and Louis, the only driver on the intermediate tyres, was looking to come into the pits there. He did have DRS on Sir Spud and almost went into the back of Spud when he locked up those tyres, who are actually overheating under these conditions. So that moves Sir Spud up to 8th, who's 19.9 seconds behind Mr. Steen, who's looking to put a little bit of pressure on Speed Queen for 6th.
Absolutely, and also while you're watching that, Matty has dropped down to 4th. Ryan has moved up to 3rd place. It looks like one of the drivers has gone off track on sectors 2 and 3. I'm not sure.
Oh, look, sorry Malc, but it looks as if Matty must have received front wing damage there as he comes into the pits on one lap holding medium, so maybe tagged the rear of Ryan there, but certainly front wing damage for the McLaren driver, and Joe Hamster will be thinking all his ducks have come in a row as he moves up to 4th place, as does Speed Queen up to 5th, but Matty looking to cross onto the soft tyres and going for a sprint to the finish.
Absolutely brilliant stuff, and it looks like Matty just got ahead to keep up into the track itself. So brilliant stuff there from Matty from 6 back, but also bad times at the moment because he has just got himself a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. So, but I don't want to warn you, Craig, but Ryan has got 17 seconds of penalties already, and he's in 3rd. Joe, actually, Ryan might be lucky to hold on to 3rd because of the penalties of everyone else from 3rd downwards.
And it looks as if Mr. Steen's also had a few offs as well. The gap between himself and Sir Spud has just tumbled down to 1.5 seconds. So Sir Spud will have a bit between his teeth. Yeah, it looks as if Mr. Steen is really struggling at the moment. I've noticed him just missing a few braking zones at turn 1, and then again he's getting a big lock up at 10 as well. So Mr. Steen really finding it tough tonight with the Alpha Tauri.
Absolutely, but he's also lost the front wing on the left hand side, Craig. He's lost a bit of that front wing on the left, so he must have had it during that lap itself. So he'll have to go back in and try and get onto the softs as quickly as possible. Good evening to everyone that's watching the stream. You are watching the Invictus Cup on the Invictus Racing League YouTube channel, line exclusive, which is the Invictus Cup is sponsored by Nailcoat Hall, and then Green, and also gridfinder.com. Check them out, guys. Please check them out. We're on lap 26 or 35. So last 10 laps, Craig. Are we going to see more shocks along the way?
Well, I think Rimpa will take the same approach as JCol the other night there. He's got an 11.3 second gap now to Stefan Ranz behind. I'm sure he'll just be taking it easy and bringing the car home. 26 laps of 35. He'll be looking to just manage the car, bringing the car home in one piece. But it looks as Speed Queen may still have an opportunity on Joe Hamster. The gap sitting at 2 seconds. But DXT Matty will be looking to make up for that damaged front wing earlier on and looking to chase down Speed Queen for 5th. So will we see Speed Queen and DXT Matty manage to close down Joe Hamster, putting a little bit of pressure on him for 4th position?
Absolutely, and Speed to see in the next few laps to see what Speed Queen can try and do and get ahead of Joe Hamster, who's had a brilliant race. Whatever happens tonight, he's had still have a job tonight. Rimpo's got the fastest up the race with a 1:13.694. So.
Yeah, it looks as if Louis starting to close down Darrell Whiffen as well. Both drivers exiting the final chicane there, and Louis getting a double dunt of DRS, looking to close the gap down, but he's just not close enough as they break and enter turn 1 and 2. Louis a little bit tighter on the apex, and Darrell Whiffen gets a better exit out of turn 2 and moves up to 10th, so Louis gets the job done.
Brilliant stuff there from Louis. Fantastic stuff, but Darrell must have made a mistake because he went onto the curb on the wall on the left hand side, but hopefully Louis can try and push on now to try and close the gap onto Tyler, who's in 9th place at the moment. But while the gaps are all getting bigger, Craig, on some of the drivers, so do you expect any more battles in the next few laps, or we're going to wait till the end of the race?
Well, we just need to wait and see what happens. I'm sure Darrell Whiffen will want to make up for that mistake at turn 2. It just looks as if he ran a little bit wide there and put the rear tyre on the curb on the left hand side, and certainly won't get as good traction as Louis did actually on track. So on the marbles, on the dirty side of the track, and that allowed Louis to make up the position. But Darrell Whiffen looking as if he's dropping off a bit slightly. Gap opened up now to 2.2 seconds, while we see Speed Queen now reducing the gap to herself and Joe Hamster. But it'll be interesting to see what DXT Matty can do as well, only 2.5 seconds behind Speed Queen.
Absolutely, and to be fair though, on his day, Matty's been absolutely outstanding, and with the pace that he had from that season in the F3, he'll need to try and produce it again against one of the drivers that we are going to be looking forward to in the F1 Esports Challenge Series. Is that correct, Craig, with Speed Queen?
It's the F1 Esports Pro Exhibition.
I do apologise for that.
So it is on tomorrow evening on the Formula 1 social media channels, and I look forward to watching Speed Queen represent Invictus Racing League tomorrow.
Absolutely, and it's an honour because she has been really impressive. She has been really impressive, and we wish her all the very best of luck in the F1 Esports as well. So, Speed Queen, 1 second now behind Joe Hamster. She must have heard us, Craig. She must have heard us to get that oomph back to get into 4th place. So, this could be interesting in the next few laps.
Yeah, Speed Queen just chipping away the gap between herself and Joe Hamster. Darrell Whiffen loses another position down the back straight to Mr. Steen under DRS conditions, but Speed Queen, sensing that our 4th place is on the cards, she looks to chase down the Mercedes of Joe Hamster.
Absolutely, absolutely. But here we go, Keiran. Joe will have to defend in the next few laps because Speed Queen has starting to get the rhythm going with that soft tyres. She will make the softs till the end anyway, regardless, because if it was a dry race, she would have had the one stop anyway with the soft mediums. It's just all that consistency, and she has been that consistency person where the tyre wear is, is the key factor as well.
And also, Malc, what's critical, if she can get the move done in Joe Hamster as quick as possible and take a couple of seconds out of Ryan de Pavine, she may still be in the chance for a podium.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just having a look at the timings as well.
Oh, Speed Queen down the inside at the hairpin of 10. It's going to come down to who can get the best traction. Joe Hamster gets out ahead of Speed Queen, but Speed Queen on the toe of the Mercedes gets the DRS open, but that Mercedes looks very slippery in a straight line.
Absolutely. I bet Speed Queen was, under a lot of pressure, like worried and stuff. But she's making a move. She's making a move on the inside. And, just bit of contact.
Oh, but Joe Hamster's not willing to give up this position. He has it inside line for turn 2. Will have it for turn 3, but Speed Queen, importantly, gets her nose ahead for the entry into 3 and 4. So Joe Hamster wasn't willing to give up 4th place without a fight. And DXT Matty has now come into play. He's only 1.2 seconds behind Joe Hamster, so Joe Hamster could lose 2 positions in a number of laps.
Could be, but it was just all depends if he can keep his cool and calm and be collective on the racing track itself. But just having a look at the timings itself, Craig. So at the moment, Ryan would be back to 52 seconds from the leader, so it'll be 52 seconds. Speed Queen has got 59, so she will need to try and close the gap. At the moment, if it stands, by 7 seconds, a lot more than 7 seconds.
Yeah, Speed Queen's going to have to set qualifying laps to close that gap between herself and Ryan de Pavine, but she's on 12 lap old soft tyres, so she's got a little bit of a challenge ahead of her. But Joe Hamster currently holding on to the rear of the gearbox of the Williams, only 8/10 off. He's in the DRS window, but DXT Matty is just off the back of that Mercedes as well.
Absolutely, and Matty needs to make this move done as soon as possible because he does not want to lose out to Speed Queen for 4th place. Stefan's got a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, so whatever happens tonight, he will still be in 2nd place. Rimpa and Mr. Steed, and also Prix boy. He's both, three drivers have had no penalties at all so far in this race, Craig.
Yeah, I'm just watching this battle between Speed Queen Joe Hamster and DXT Matty as they run down towards the final chicane. Speed Queen, the only driver without DRS. Joe Hamster looks a little bit out the outside, just hangs off the rear of the wheel. Oh, compromises his exit into the final chicane, and his exit. DXT Matty looking to go round the left hand side. Joe Hamster just closes off the space, but what we see DXT Matty move up the inside of turn 1. No, thinks better of it, and Joe Hamster hanging on to the rear of the Williams. So yeah, great defending there from Joe Hamster.
Brilliant stuff. But as you rightly said earlier on, Craig, it looks like Joe Hamster's in the dry conditions. He looks like he's really struggling with that Mercedes car in the medium tyres as well. So, but under a lot of pressure from Matty down the DRS straight. So coming up to the chicane part now, where the penalties could be wrapped up and more. But now coming up to the hairpin corner at the end of the second sector and into the third. Hairpin corner now, couple of lockups.
Oh, Joe Hamster runs wide. That allows DXT Matty to try and move up the inside, but Joe Hamster just carries the pace round the outside at turn 10 and looks to close the gap to Speed Queen under DRS and a little bit of a slipstream as well. Better exit there from Joe Hamster out the final corner. Will Speed Queen come under a little bit of pressure? Oh, Joe Hamster looks to go up the inside. Turn 1 locks up under braking. That compromises his grip at the front of the car. DXT Matty comes into play, hang on to the gearbox of the Mercedes, and it is all on here at lap 33 of 34. Sorry, lap 34 of lap 35. Losing track there, Malc, just watching this three-way battle for 4th place.
Don't worry, mate, don't worry, we will let you off just this once, because this has been an absolute stellar of a job with this battle for 4th, 5th and 6th. Louis has got a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings as well. Not only we've got this three-car battle, we also got the battle between Louis and Mr. Steen in 9th and 10th, but Mr. Steen will be absolutely fuming that he should have done a lot better tonight. Oh my god, Joe has done the exact same thing as what happened in the last lap, and now there could be a chance for Matty to get himself back up, but it looks like the majority of the drivers are all trying to save up that ERS, Craig.
Yeah, possibly saving it for the final lap of the race, Malc.
Oh!
Joe Hamster looks to go round the outside of the Williams, round the chicane, and that has compromised his entry again. But despite that, DXT Matty just can't get close enough to make a move in Joe Hamster into turn 1.
Absolutely.
So, despite making that mistake, Malc, the Joe Hamster Mercedes looks very quick in a straight line.
Absolutely, and it looks very, very quick. We're on the final lap now. We're on the final lap of the Invictus Cup, sponsored by Nail Coat Hall and also gridfinder.com. Check him out, guys. Please check him out. Mr. Steed has got himself into 9th. Louis dropped down to 10th place. Just trying to see where Rimper is now. Rimper's coming up to just gone past the first sector into the second, down that DRS straight. But now Joe Hamster trying to get himself back up to Speed Queen in 4th place. But you would agree with me on this, Craig, but fair play to Joe Hamster and Matty keeping up the pressure on Speed Queen.
Yeah, they've certainly kept her honest there, Malc. Although there's a bit of a lock-up at turn 10, he gets a great exit and he looks to go round the outside finally at Speed Queen just before the final chicane. But he'll also have a second shot of DRS to open up the gap to Speed Queen, but Speed Queen looking to hold on to the slipstream. This is going to come down to the final lap of the race, Malc. So is Joe Hamster done that a little bit prematurely, or can he open up enough of a window to break the DRS? As Rimper takes the win of the race, the Group 2 race 1. So Rimper takes the race win, followed by Stefan Rans, who crosses the line for Renault in second. A little bit of a weave, celebrating that second place. Ryan Tibbeveen, despite having damaged his front wing earlier than what he would have thought, forcing him onto the dry tyre compound. He'll come across the line and secure third, but it's all about what happens between Joe Hamster, Speed Queen and DXT Matty. Who's going to take that fourth place?
We do not know. We do not know what's going to happen, but here we go. Can Speed Queen looks like she's not getting close to Joe Hamster. It looks like Matty's going to have a chance to make the move on to Speed Queen, but they're going to side. Oh my God, Speed Queen!
Speed Queen drives up the inside.
Oh!
What a move!
What a move!
Elbows out, epic style, and gets the move done in the chicane. Joe Hamster moves across slightly to block off DXT Matty. He knew that his line was compromised into that final chicane, and manages to defend against DXT Matty. So Spud takes the driver of the day. What an end to that race there, Malc.
Mate, top notch. You've said it spot on. What a finale, especially for the fourth place battle between Speed Queen, Joe Hamster, and also Matty. But don't get me wrong, fair play to Rimper, who's done a stellar of a job again. The F2 drivers champion. Brilliant stuff from him. And also well done to Stefan, who also finished off in second place with Ryan in third place. Here are your race classification for the Circuit Jules Villeneuve for the Invictus Cup, sponsored by Now Coat Hall and Gridfinder.com. You got Rimper in first place, you got Stefan in second, you got Ryan who's in third, Speed Queen in fourth, Matty in fifth, Joe in sixth, Mr. Steen in seventh place, Sir Spud in eighth, Ginger Tiger is in ninth, Louis is in 10th, Darryl is in 11th, Atali is in 12th, Pepsi Boy in 13th, and Ivan is the only one who's had the DNF during that race, Craig. But what a race! What the last few laps, unbelievable stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, as we wait for the top three drivers to hopefully join us for the post-race podium interviews. Yeah, definitely left it for us exciting times, the last corner and the last lap. Absolutely fantastic. So we will, as I said, we will wait for the drivers to join us. We will take a short intermission as we wait for the drivers to prepare for the post-race interviews, and we'll be back with you soon, guys.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Invictus Cup, sponsored by Now Coat Hall and Gridfinder.com. We just done the Circuit Jules Villeneuve for Group 2, Race 1, and it was an absolute stellar job for the top 3 drivers, which they are in the commentators box, which is Rimpa, Stefan, and also Ryan as well. So I'll pass you over to Craig to do the questions for the top 3. Over to you, mate.
Good evening, guys. Thank you for joining us for the post-race interviews. If I would like to just start with Rimpa, absolute masterclass from you, just dominating that race this evening with the pole position, the fastest lap, and of course the race victory. How does it feel to have dominated this race, and does that give you confidence into the final 2 races of the group and going into the new season in August?
Yeah, it's good to be back racing with the guys, and I don't know how the other guys did in my group, but I'm happy with my result.
So it looks as if your teammate Matty, DX team Matty, finished in 5th, and that is a strong result for your team. Did you catch the race on Monday? And if so, what do you think of the competition in the other group as well as this group as well?
I think it's pretty even. Everyone didn't make it on the Monday, right? So it's pretty hard to say.
And as the race progressed and you started to open up a gap between yourself and Stefan Ranz in second, were you pushing every lap, or did you ease off the power a little bit as you started to open up that window, opening up that or reducing that risk to a possible undercut?
I was pushing maybe the last part with mediums. I wanted the fastest lap, so I was improving every lap, and at some point Ryan got the fastest lap, and I was like, how the but I got it in the end.
And just as it looked as if you went a little bit longer on the intermediate tyres compared to the other drivers in 3rd and 4th. When did you feel it was the right time to cross over to the dry tyres? Was it just about feeling, or were you more focused on opening up a window to those that were behind?
Going back to last season, I tried to make those tough decisions, undercutting people, changing conditions, but now I just listen to Seb. He told me that come in, and I came in, and it was the right time.
Well, thank you for sharing your thoughts with us tonight, Rimpa. Congratulations for winning the Group 2 race this evening at the Canadian Grand Prix. Stefan Ranz, if I could come across to yourself, securing second, unable to maybe close that gap to Rimpa near the end of the race. But what are your thoughts on second? Do you feel that was achievable prior to tonight's race? Are you happy with that result, or do you feel that things could have went a bit different or better this evening?
It's honestly more of a relief than anything, because there's been a few times during the season where I was in the top 3 and I made a mistake and I threw it away. So to come away with second behind Rimpa, I can't really complain.
And we saw that you entered the pit lane the same time as Rimpa. Were you just watching what his strategy was, mirroring that, or was that where you intended to come in to cross over to the dry tyre compound?
No, to be fair, I was keeping time with my sector times, and they weren't really dropping off, and I think Speed Queen pitting early made it a lot easier for us, because I could see the time from her times were like dropping off drastically, and then I was checking the weather report, and they said that they weren't sure what tyre was there, so that's when I came in.
And you'd mentioned there that you felt a little bit of pressure from Speed Queen. When you saw Speed Queen pitting, did that then release you to then focusing just forward rather than back, or did you also have a one eye on Ryan behind?
I would have had more of an eye on Ryan, but I saw that he was getting quite a lot of penalties, so I knew I just had to just drive my race and keep it on the track, and I'll be fine.
Well, thank you, Stefan. Thanks for sharing your thoughts with us tonight. Congratulations on securing second in tonight's race. Brian, if I could come across to you, we saw that you'd damage on your front wing. But also a bit of fortune when I think you were the first driver to cross over to intermediate tyres and really just started to pick up pace. Were you surprised at the amount of grip and pace that you had on the intermediates?
Well, I asked for the weather reports, and it said, yeah, the inters are as quick as wets, and I had some damage on my front wing, so I pitted. And yeah, it turned out to be good. When it got drier, Speed Queen in front of me, I think, pitted for slicks, for softs, and it turned out to be 5 laps earlier than when she wanted actually. So that was in my favor as well. She lost about 20 seconds, and I was up into P3 and brought it home, and here we are.
And with yourself and Stefan in the same team, were you in communication with each other during the race? Or were you looking to fight against each other, just compete against each other a little bit?
Oh, I always not try to shun off people in a war or something, but obviously I'm more careful with teammates. My start was dreadful, so I didn't really battle anyone because I had damage as well. But Stefan was like taking off in the distance already after 2 laps. I couldn't catch him anymore, and I knew P3 was the maximum. There was nothing more in it.
And it looks that yourself and Stefan, alongside Ivan Belov and Prebzy Boy, are leading the group going into the second race.
I don't think that's true, by the way. I think Rimp's group is leading it because Maddie got 10 points, so they've got 36 points. We've got 33.
My apologies. I think you're right. I think you're right with that.
But second place is good as well, of course.
And in terms of the top 4 teams qualifying into the knockout phases, is it just about accumulating points as much as you can rather than really focusing on the race when it's just about getting at the top end of the finishing positions?
Yeah, I know points are very important. I just take it race by race as I do with every league race. Yeah, obviously hoping to get as many points with Stefan and the boys in as well. Get as many points in, and that's... I feel pretty confident about top 4. We should make it.
Well, thank you for sharing your thoughts with us this evening, guys. Congratulations to all 3 of you for securing the top 3 positions, and we'll look forward to watching the race unfold next week again.
Absolutely, and thank you to the guys for the interviews. Thank you also, Craig, for joining me in the commentators box. It's been another pleasure watching an absolute classic at the Circuit Jules Villeneuve track tonight. Thank you very much, Craig. We got next week, I believe, on Monday night, we have got Group 2 for Race 2. Correct, Craig?
Yes, that's right. So Group 2 will then race on Monday. Next week, with Group 1 racing on the Wednesday evening. Then the following week it will be back to normal service resumed, where Group 1 will be on Monday evening and Group 2 will be on Wednesday evening. So hopefully we'll have 2 more cracking races coming up ahead of us, and I'll certainly be looking forward to that one.
Absolutely, and don't go. Like I said, thank you very much for that, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. For the final time, can you please make sure you like and subscribe to the Invictus Racing League on the YouTube channel, and also check out all the social media sites on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. Give you all the latest news and everything, and also check out the InvictusRacingLeague.com. But this was the Invictus Cup, sponsored by Nailcoat Hall and GridFinder.com. Please check them out, guys. Massive stuff. So see you all on Monday evening, where we're going to see Group 2 battling out in Race 2 for the Austrian Grand Prix. So it'll be good to see how these guys can push on with their starts. So see you later, guys. We're off now. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.